Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony, and I decided on a whim last night at about 3 in the morning to create a series on the Akkadian language, specifically the Babylonian dialect of the Akkadian language, because I've always had an interest in languages, and recently I've been starting to study more ancient and dead languages, and I've always found that Akkadian was particularly engaging for me because I'm able to understand how it's pronounced, and I also understand Arabic, which is a Semitic language, just as Akkadian is a Semitic language, so there are some connections there that help me to learn a bit better. Now, the name of the language is Akkadian, and that comes from the region of Akkad, which is in central Mesopotamia, which is modern day Iraq, around the area of Babylon and modern day Baghdad, that region. And the language came to prominence during the reign of Sargon of Akkad, way back. I'm not very good with dates, but I'll probably just insert dates somewhere down here. The language dates back to about 2000 BC, but it goes back even further. We know that it has existed for much longer than that because of the fact that Akkadian names were recorded in Sumerian texts much further back than 2000 BC. And the language was spoken in mostly in what is now modern day Iraq, but also in parts of Iran, Syria, Turkey, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. It was also a large lingua franca for the Middle East, the Near East, back in what many historians call the primeval era, or the Bronze Age, basically. During the Bronze Age, Akkadian did serve as a lingua franca between all the major nations in the region, including Babylon, Assyria, Elam, Egypt, the different states in the Levant when they existed, and the Hittite state, so on and so forth. Needless to say, it was a very important language, and we do have tablets written in Akkadian as far-flung as from Iran out to Egypt. It was a language of diplomacy, as is seen in how many contracts and treaties were signed and written in Akkadian. Now, Akkadian had two dialects, one in the northern regions of Mesopotamia and one in the southern regions. The one in the northern regions was called Assyrian, and the one in the southern regions was called Babylonian. And I will be focusing on the Babylonian dialect of the language, mostly. Now, like I said, Akkadian was a Semitic language. It did die out in about 500 BC, but it did live on as a liturgical and scholarly language well into the first century of the Common Era. That said, there are quite a few differences between Akkadian and the Semitic languages that we are more familiar with today, like Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic. One of the major ones is that Akkadian was not written with an alphabet as the three languages I've named before were. Most Semitic languages are written with like a form of an alphabet it's based on the same basically 22 letters that are inherited from the Phoenician alphabet and even further back inherited from Egyptian hieroglyphs. Akkadian is different because Akkadian inherited the Sumerian writing system. Because Akkad was basically in the shadow of Sumer for most of the Bronze Age era. They looked up to Sumeria as this pinnacle of civilization and culture and refinement, so they adopted the writing system. The Sumerian writing system was called Cuneiform. Well, we call it Cuneiform. That's not the name that they had for it, but we call it Cuneiform because cuneiform means wedge-shaped. And we call it that because the script was written by pressing a reed stylus into clay, making a wedge-shaped indent into the clay so that you can make a legible symbol. However, the Sumerian language is very syllable-based and very symbol-based. It had a lot of ideographs, pictographs, and a syllabary. And that worked very well for Sumerian because of the way that language is structured. It makes things a little bit more complicated for Akkadian though because of the way that Semitic languages are structured, and I'll get into that in a episode down the line. But just to give a little look, this is sort of what the cuneiform script looks like. This is a little bit of Akkadian that I've been trying to transcribe. It's a bit difficult to write on paper because it's a three-dimensional script. It's easiest to write with reed stylus and clay. Not so easy on paper. Now, because of that script difference and because there's not really an easy way to type cuneiform, I won't focus as much on the cuneiform script as I will on the language itself, and I'll be using a method of transcription called normalization that allows you to see how Akkadian was pronounced rather than how it was actually written. The book that I'll be using to teach myself this language is this one, Teach Yourself Complete Babylonian, written by Martin Worthington. It's a really great primer for learning Babylonian. I've gotten a big way through the book, so I feel like I'm able to teach like some of the basic concepts of Akkadian, and as I progress further through the book, I'll teach you all some more complex concepts of the language. And if any of you happen to know the language, I know that's a bit of a long shot, but if any of you happen to know Akkadian and I make a mistake, please correct me in the comments below. I love reading comments, especially when they help me to get better. And if you're learning the language like I am, then feel free to keep up with these videos and to just join me, help each other out in the comments, help me out in the comments if you can. And one more thing, because Akkadian is such an ancient language and people haven't really spoken it naturally, fluently in about 2,500 years, it's a bit difficult to know exactly how people said certain things like yes, no, hello, goodbye. It's easier to know how to compose more complex sentences and complex prose rather than to create a conversation in Akkadian. And because of that, I don't know how to say goodbye and thank you, but I'm just gonna say it in English, goodbye, and thank you for watching this video. Please comment below if you have something to say. I love reading your comments, and also follow all of my social media links down in the description below, and be sure to also check out my vlogs, and also help me keep up with these videos. Encourage me to do them. I am hopefully going to upload 1 or 2 a week as I progress through this language. And if this series is successful, I'm gonna probably go on with some other languages. Like, this is my notebook for my ancient languages, and another one that people might be interested in would probably be like Sumerian or Egyptian or something like that. So if anyone wants to engage me in that way or encourage me to start with other languages like Sumerian or Egyptian, please let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you, and I love making these videos. Alright, bye.